for the supervisor's order. First order of business is roll call. So we use your tablets and tell me that you're here. Okay, and everyone is present except for Ms. Wakely. At this time, if you'd rise for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you are all set in an agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Otherwise, I would look for a motion to approve it. Motion by Wadle. Second by Mosley. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that passes. And then you also sent the meeting minutes from the January 20th, 2026 regular meeting. Is there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, I would look for a motion to approve those. Motion by Urban. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mosley. Is there any question, any discussions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes as well. So at this time, we will have public comments. Please keep in mind that the county board will not be able to respond to your comments or ask you any questions. Your comments are informational only. If further action is required, your comments or concerns will be directed to the appropriate department or committee for response. We have one this evening who asked to address the board, and it's Charles Charpentier.
That's right.
You have 3 minutes.
Charpentier.
Charpentier.
In the Waushara County Board of Supervisors, I'm providing formal notice of an unlawful denial of access to public records at the Waushara County Register of Deeds office. On January 29th of this year, I attempted to inspect land records as expressly permitted under Wisconsin Statute 5943A and 1935. I was denied access unless I surrendered my personal phone. This condition is not authorized by statute and constitutes a denial of access to public records. A personal phone is not a copying service, and photography using one's own device does not trigger fees under the Wisconsin Open Records Law. Internal office policy cannot overwrite statutory laws. I was informed that this practice is based on a Wisconsin Department of Justice opinion issued approximately 20 years ago. But that opinion does not address the modern use of personal devices for inspection, does not authorize confiscation of personal property, and does not permit charging fees for photographs taken by a requester using their own equipment. Continued reliance on an outdated and inapplicable opinion does not excuse non-compliance with current law. I'm not requesting a vote tonight. I'm requesting that the county bring the Register of Deeds office into immediate compliance with existing Wisconsin law. This can be accomplished administratively without board action by directing the Register of Deeds to cease conditioning access to land records on surrendering personal property. Please confirm in writing within 14 days that this unlawful policy has been rescinded, that staff have been instructed accordingly, and that public access to land records will be provided without unlawful conditions. If this matter is not remedied within that time, I will pursue the remedies provided under Wisconsin Statute 1937, including all available damages, costs, and attorney fees. Thanks for your attention.
Okay, unfinished business, we have none. New business, reports and presentations. First is County Administrator's Monthly Report with our County Administrator, Megan Capp.
Thank you. So I will start out with some good news here. So the executive committee had approved moving forward with the selling of our Wapaka Street property. If you recall, last year the board had approved the demolition of that old nursing home located at 327 South Wapaka Street in Wautoma. That demolition was completed last fall, and the executive committee chose to move forward with the selling of that property. As of today, we do have an accepted offer on that property from a developer who is interested in splitting that into 4 lots and building 4 single-family residential homes there. So we're excited to move forward with that sale. I've mentioned recently we've been exploring a new partnership with Green Lake County. We are going to move forward with that. With our medical examiner services, providing service to Green Lake County. For the past year, beginning in 2025, we had contracted, or I should say Marquette County contracted with our medical examiner's office to provide those services. And we are going to be adding in Green Lake County moving forward. So we'll have a proposed contract. We're working out some details right now with Green Lake, but we will bring that forward to the March Public Safety and County Board meeting. It will require some additional staffing, so there will be a reorg proposed along with that. However, the contract will more than make up for the additional staffing costs required there. So that will be a positive for both counties with that partnership. Additionally, it is something that's going to qualify for the state's innovation grant. So we will be applying for that as well. The initial applications for those are due by the end of March. So getting that through March will be important so that we can qualify for that first round of grant funding from the state. On the personnel front, last week we had our annual employee wellness fair that our employee wellness committee puts together. We had 67 employees attend that. So that was, again, well attended. Next week, there are 4 of us that will be attending the Initiative 1 training in Green Bay. So 4 of us who had previously been through the leadership transformation program through Initiative 1, we are going to Green Bay for a 3-day training called Train the Trainer, so that we're able to bring that model back to our organization. So we're really excited to be able to move forward with sharing that further within the organization. We will also work to identify our first group of 10 employees that will be able to bring through that leadership transformation process in-house. So very excited to move forward there. End of January, we had another town hall listening session. Tim Baroud from UW Extension provided just a general overview of the strategic planning process and where the plans are housed and such, so that all staff have access to that information. We also had Aaron Olson from CAP Services just provide a general overview of the services and programs that they offer there, just so that our staff has an understanding when they're dealing with different clients that they might be able to refer there for different services and assistance. Right now, our biggest staffing needs in the county are within our sheriff's department with deputies and detectives. We also continue to have high vacancy rates in our 911 dispatch positions, and we are also currently hiring for deputy MEs right now. And we also have a vacant ADA position. That one is hired through the state, so that is a state position, but still hiring for that as well. Last week, the Sheriff's Department had a reception for the retirement of 2 of our K9s, K9 Thor and Storm. They were recently retired after their handlers, Egan and Wenzel, took new positions within the department. So fun gathering to honor their service and as they head into their retirement here. One thing I just want to update the board on so that you are aware, Tim Baroud from UW Extension and I have had some recent conversations regarding committee structure. And so we'd like to go through a process to evaluate that committee structure to make sure that it is effective, efficient, meeting our needs as a county and as a board as well. So just so that you're aware, that will be on the horizon. It's not something that's going to be completed before our reorg in April, but at some point later this year, we're hoping to be able to provide a solid recommendation to the board on potentially a more efficient committee structure.
So that will be coming down as well. Let's see. Oh, and then the last thing I just want to share, a couple upcoming events. We do have dates scheduled for county government days in April, where we'll have high school students coming through to tour the building and learn about county government. Those are scheduled for April 23rd and 27th. Board members are certainly welcome to attend those as well. And then this Friday, we have the Red Cross hosting another blood drive here at the Government Center.
Okay, very good. Is there any questions for Megan?
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll have our medical examiner's annual report with our medical examiner, Amanda Toma.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me okay? Is the microphone working? All right. I'll try and keep it as lively as possible, given the subject matter. So 2025 annual report from last year for the medical examiner's office. We have this fancy new logo that my deputy Victoria Skirto had recreated for us. We had kind of a mundane one, wanted to bring it to the times and with a little bit more grace. And so she created this. We love it. We're using it on everything. She did a really great job. So kudos to her. I have this problem every year.
On the side.
All right, here is my staff. We have, as Megan had indicated, we have 2 vacant positions, 30-hour part-time position and a part-time on-call position. I currently have applicants that I am hoping to interview within the next 2 weeks for those. This is our current service area. We cover approximately 1,100 square miles with Waushara combined with Marquette counties. As Megan also mentioned, we are in the prospects of combining with Green Lake County, which would put us at approximately 1,400 square miles that we would be covering. When we had decided to partner with Marquette County, we were having some issues with our GPS system on our phones with the addresses in Marquette County. They have almost like a dual address where it's, State Highway 152, but then it's, Main Street in this. And so when we would type them in, we would struggle to figure out which address was accurate. So what I had done is I asked Stephanie Sattler from GIS to see if she could create an app we could use offline, because obviously there are some zones in our areas where cell phone service is pretty scarce. And so we want to make sure that we had access to this. So I asked Stephanie to create an app for us we could use offline that we could search that address and know what township, city, or village that we're in. So she created this app for us. It works fantastic when we're out in the field, and it can also give us some area of where we're looking at too when we're heading out to that beyond our current GPS systems in our phones. So this has helped a great deal for us. These are the types of deaths that we take care of. So there are the 5 manners of deaths that we have had actually all year long, or we have had within the year. Last year, we didn't have any undetermined. This year we have. The below are the causes of deaths that we are seeing frequently within this last 2025 year. For the undetermined, we've had 2 sets of skeletal remains. And what happens with those if we don't have any trauma that is found on the bones? What leads us to just list skeletal remains found in a certain area, but then we can list contributing factors of medical diagnoses that individual may have had that may have contributed to their death. But this also leaves it open too, so that we're not, if we're able to explore other opportunities within that case to see if anything else becomes available in the future that we can analyze anything. So we do also keep some type of sample from that as well. In 2025, the whole year, these are the amount of cases we had combined, and then we have them separated out from Marquette to Waushara County. You can see we had 399 cases that were assigned to us. That means that when somebody calls in to report a death, that case, that person, that individual automatically gets a number. So we had 399 cases that were reported to us. 348 of them were ME cases. And just a reminder, what happens and why there's a difference in that number is because under jurisdiction, there are some cases that we do not take jurisdiction over, specifically people who are on hospice. They are not being cremated. They have no injuries. The physician that is there that is already servicing them can sign those death certificates. We don't need to be involved. You can see when you break it down for the counties individually, they had 150 total, but we only took care of 136 for Marquette County. And then Waushara, we had 249, and now we had 212 that we actually took care of. And you can also see what I broke that down for the manners of death as well. You will see the suicides. I want you to take specific note to those suicides, 4 in Marquette County and 8 for Waushara County. We have a tri-county death review team that is comprised of Waushara, Green Lake, and Marquette counties. It's various departments that come together to try and see if there's any systemic changes that need to be made to help families, to see if there is anything that we could have done better on our end of things to help this individual or these individuals that we are looking to review their deaths on. We meet quarterly. These death reviews, the case files are chosen by myself in public health. They're based on a manner of death other than natural. So we're looking at suicide, accident, or maybe even undetermined. When we began meeting this last fall, I noticed an increase in our suicides with both Marquette and Waushara counties. Waushara County increased 100% from 4 in 2024 to 8 in 2025. And I will say that this year we've already had 3. In Marquette County, they had 1 in 2024 and then 4 in 2025. So we decided as a team, we are going to focus on suicide prevention because we really need to try and figure out what's happening, what has changed, what can we do better. So we had figured out that before COVID, we had a grief support system here at Stahl Funeral Home. And there was a certified grief counselor that would come, and I don't know how often, but he came, and I understand from my in speaking with Jeff Stahl as well as others that this gentleman was incredibly helpful. And he had left when COVID came and had gone out west to be with his family, and we've never been able to replace them. So as a group, we are discussing on who can we send to grief counseling to become a certified grief counselor that we can utilize for something like this. Because what happens when somebody does die from suicide is there's a 50% chance that family members, immediate family members, and sometimes even extended, will do the same thing within the first 5 years. They have a 50% chance of doing that within the first 5 years. We want to decrease that as much as we possibly can. And in all actuality, we just saw that on one of our deaths recently. We know that the Sheriff's Department as well as Public Health gives out gun locks. We have the safe storage here in some areas. There's a billboard in Marquette County about suicide prevention. There's these posters that Public Health here for Waushara County has placed on all of their social media assets, as well as the laundromats, the grocery stores, any place that we can possibly find to hang them and get that information out there. I'm also collaborating with the VA because we are finding that veterans are taking their life by suicide as well. And so we are trying to figure out what is all the triggers that we can identify so that we can try and help these people before this happens. The specific poster I want to draw your attention to is the green one. All of the suicides that have taken place in Waushara County and Marquette County have all been males, ages 18 to late 70s, early 80s. So we want, we are really trying to target a specific group, but also encompass everybody as well. When we take on death calls, we do sign, or I sign, the death certificate and cremation permit. In our county, if that person is being cremated and they're in hospice, we automatically sign the death certificate. What that means for the family is it just streamlines it. Sometimes it'll take a week or 2 for the physician to sign it. For us, it could be up to 48 hours. We can't cremate within the first 48 hours, but I can get a death certificate out to them with a cremation permit if I have access to the medical records in a timely fashion. So for Marquette County, I did sign 119 death certificates, 109 cremation permits. For Waushara County, 212, and then 190. Autopsies, we have had our increase in autopsies. Typically, we do 12 to 15 for Waushara County. There were approximately 4 to 5 done for Marquette County in 2024. This last year, we did 26 autopsies total. 9 of them were for Marquette County, and you can see that is divvied up by 7 accidental and 2 natural deaths. In Waushara County, we had 17. We had 9 accidental. 2 of the suicides I did choose to autopsy, and 6 natural deaths. I listed some of the causes of death on the side there that you can see. There are some things that do occur where we think it is suspicious, but we have the autopsy completed because we're not sure. So then we bring in all the medical records, the forensic pathologist, he does that autopsy, and it's determined sometimes that it's a natural cause of death where the injury didn't contribute to their death at all. And I have completed the strategic planning with Tim from UW Extension. This is the one pager, and you can see the tasks on there that I will be going through this year with my staff. Working on a lot of things right now. We're kind of in a waiting game because of a lot of things in motion right now for our office. So hopefully we'll continue to move forward on this and make those dates. I do presentations to obviously county government days, triad meeting. I also go to the Watoma High School, their criminal justice class I presented at. The importance of this is so that the community knows what the medical examiner's office does, what we take care of, so that when we do come on scene, that their understanding of us is that we are there to gather information, to determine cause and manner of death. And we're there because it's an unattended death. If we don't have to be there, we're not going to bother that family, obviously. If somebody's on hospice and we don't need to be there, we don't need to view them immediately, we will let that family be with that loved one. And I continue to also open that up to Marquette County. As you can see, we have participated in their government days as well, and I will continue to do so. I will be reaching out to their local groups as well to offer up information to them too. We have gone to training this last year. A couple of my deputies went to the Wisconsin Coroners and Medical Examiners Association. They hold two different conferences, one in the spring and one in the fall. And I had gone to Utah for suspicious death investigations this last June when it was 109 out. I do not recommend it, but the conference was amazing. I was able to bring back a lot of investigatory tools that we now use in our office. Victoria Skirtle was able to attend the emergency medical responder class there. Because of Keith, our EMS director, he has offered us some classes, some other different types of material to help them become more familiar with the medical issues or the devices that they see, what is going on in EMS as well, so that they can identify that when they're out on a call, because a lot of my deputies will have the forensic background, but they won't have the medical background. And just so you are aware, I am a certified death investigator through the American Board of Medical Legal Death Investigators. I have to take training every year to keep up with that certification. So that's where all of this kind of helps. So kind of turning from the sad stuff to a little bit more of the fun stuff, some fun stuff. I want to give you a day in the life of what I deal with on a daily basis, whether it be in the office, whether it be night or day. You know, I'm just going to give you a little breakdown of this. So I get up about 5:30 in the morning and I immediately check my cell phone. If I'm not on call that prior night, okay, what came in, what needs to be, you know, taken care of on my way in. So I hop in my car about 7:30 and I'm heading to the office. Well, then the phone rings, the funeral home wants a viewing. And then I finally get to the office and then I'm checking my messages, the phone rings. There's a grieving family who wants an update on their case. And then the pager goes off. And then I call into dispatch. And then I have to go out on the scene. And then law enforcement calls because they want an update on a different case. And then I got a mountain of paperwork to do. So that's just a little bit of what goes on at the medical examiner's office during the day. It's not every day. It's frequently like this, but it's not every day. We like those down days. What's ahead for 2026 for the medical examiner's office? Well, you all are aware of the renovation project that is happening at the old highway department. We're moving forward with some things. We are very excited to have some updated offices and a morgue. We're going to continue to provide our services to Marquette County and now extending those services hopefully to Green Lake County. We're going to continue our strategic planning tasks and hopefully pursue some additional training opportunities. Do you have any questions for me?
I'm just kind of curious as to why an autopsy isn't done on all suspected suicides.
So I don't, because our job is to determine cause and manner of death. So if we have a cause and manner of death that's relevant, that is evident right there, it's not really necessary for us to do that. The reasoning those were autopsied is because we need the trajectories, because there was more than one that was necessary to retrieve. And we wanted to see and make sure that everything was as it had presented itself.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Amanda. All right, next we'll have the University of Wisconsin Extension Annual Report with our Area Extension Director, Pat Wagon.
Good evening. A little bit different kind of a program that we present. When we do our annual report, my name is Pat Wagner. I'm the Area Extension Director. I serve 5 counties here in central Wisconsin. Washera County is one that I take part in. The rest of our staff is here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves as it's their turn. In our annual report this year, right, okay, this is our team right now. There is change. Last fall, I brought one of our retirees to one of your meetings so that Rosie could retire and go on into do what she does in retirement. We had a retirement from that administrative assistant position as well as from the 4-H program educator role. We have filled both of those positions. You'll see that Lacey Monroe has joined us as an administrative assistant, and Emily will speak here in a few minutes and introduce herself. We did also lose some funding at the end of 2025. SNAP Ed funds were cut by the federal government. Lacey had been in that role serving our county with FoodWise education. Her job was terminated because the funding was gone, but we were able to work with Megan and some budget redirections. And so Lacey joined our team January 12th, I think was her first day. Tonight, our team will share with you some programming that they do. They had to pick a few things to highlight, so we wouldn't be here all night, so I'll let them do that. And I think with that, we have one position that's vacant, the chair there, our regional crops educator position will be posted through February 22nd. And that person will be shared again across 4 counties, just like Adam is, Washera, Green Lake, Adams, and Portage. So I'm gonna let them each introduce themselves and speak, and this is the fun. Here you go.
Well, good evening again, everybody. So Pat is right. We were asked to try to scale this down to a manageable amount of time. And so I did my best. So I wanted to share with you, over the last year, actually, our organizational and leadership development outcomes have changed with UW-Madison. I don't know if you remember, but the last time we did an annual report, we had quite a list of them. It's been broken into 3 pieces here. We help education with social assets, human assets, and institutional assets, as you can see on here with some examples. So the elephant in the room, of course, is the big strategic planning that everybody's talking about. And so just wanted to share with you that this process, the initial process, has been completed. Every county department has a strategic plan at this point. And so we made it by the end of 2025, all 21 of them. I also wanted to share a couple of numbers that I think are really interesting. One is we had 113 staff and community members engaged in that process, coming as teams to work in workshops to create these strategic plans. The other thing is it took 64 workshops to get the work done. And as a result, we now have 81 current goals at the county in our departments. Everybody's working on roughly 4 on average per department and making that happen. So what's next with strategic planning? One thing I've been doing in department head meetings is giving some formal education around things like, what do you do if it feels like you're not making progress on your goals? Or how do you actually even keep track of everything there is to do with tasks and not lose sight of those things? Today we talked about how do you have conversations with your oversight committee about your strategic plan. What kind of things can you bring up? How can you use your plan as a template to help have that conversation with your oversight committee? So a number of things, we've been doing that since I think November. And so that will, this is going to morph now more into kind of one-on-one assistance for department heads. If they want coaching, monthly coaching around strategic planning, or they have specific questions they want to ask me, I'm available to help and help them stay on track with completing their strategic plans and iterating that continuous improvement. So it's not going away. I'm still here, and we're going to support them as best we can. Another iron in the fire for me is comprehensive land use planning. I have 2 towns right now that are working on some updates within their plans. So the towns of Mount Morris and Saxville both have requested assistance with updating comprehensive land use plans. I've been helping both of them throughout most of the second half of 2025. We have adopted, both towns have adopted public participation plans, which are a requirement for doing plan updates. And then both of them also elected to send out town surveys to property owners to get some information about land use and what their property owners want for the next 20, 30 years in the future. So that's coming. I have Mount Morris is going out soon, but I just saw it today. It's out because people are filling it out, so. The Washington County Economic Development Corporation is another thing I've been helping with. We've been collaborating with UW Extension Community Economic Development, which is different than my organizational leadership development. But of course I can kind of, dip into both a little bit. And so their economic development team has been helping us out. We did a community economic analysis recently, and our next meeting actually is to create some goals from that. So from all the work that corporation has done, we're gonna set a plan for moving forward with that work and gaining traction on economic development in the county. Awesome discussions going on at those two. And then finally, the other big thing I've been kind of working on as well is the social capital project. I mentioned last year at the annual report that there's a lot of concern from community members, organizations and such about the siloed work going on in the county. Organizations working on the same topic, but don't even know what each other is doing and those kinds of things, or who's working on what, and how do we know, and how do we work together. So I brought that up to the program manager at UW-Madison, and there was a consensus that we should do something with that because another educator in the same role as me, as you can see on the map up in Eau Claire County, was having similar conversations and such with his community up there. So we're working on this right now. We've got a mapping stage done, but we're working currently on creating search filters. This is going to be for internal use to start with UW Extension, but it will allow me to connect people together in the county that are working on similar issues and things like that, and try to bring these groups together in a way that actually builds teamwork and helps people work together on some of these issues in the area, in the community. That's all for me, I think. Emily's up.
Does anybody have any questions for Tim? Sure. Please. Tim, give me an example of a silo group. I mean, what exactly you're thinking of?
So one of them that always comes to the forefront is housing. How do you create affordable housing, or how do you handle not enough construction companies or workers, or whatever it might be, or rental assistance, financial assistance. And so you might have one group in the county working on financial assistance for housing, another one's working on the lack of affordable housing, but neither one of them maybe are talking to each other, but together they could get a lot more done if they're kind of swimming the same direction.
Sure.
That would be an example.
Makes sense. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Okay, very good. Okay, Emily.
All right, I am Emily Jensen. I am your new 4-H youth program educator. So I have a little bit of data from my previous educator, so Heidi. So we had 335 members enrolled last year, 75 volunteers, 59 of those youth were new members for their first year, and we have over 3,000 hours of service. We've already seen a couple new enrollments this year. So the 4-H program is project-based learning. We're trying to get the youth out there so that they can learn and see what options are there for them. So being allowed to do different things and kind of find their sparks. My goals right now, for only being in this role for less than a month, is to get out and meet people and build relationships. So I'm attending different club meetings, trying to get out to those so that I can get to know people. I'm hoping to do at least one summer camp. That'll be like a day camp here in Waushara County for the youth. And then between Lacey and I, we are working hard to get our social media up and running and get that online presence more. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Any questions for Emily? Okay, I guess not. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you, and thanks again for letting us speak tonight. My name is Adam Hartfield. I'm the regional livestock educator here in Waushara County. Like Pat mentioned before, I also cover Adams County, Green Lake County, and Portage County as well. But Waushara County is my home base that I come to mostly every day. So I'm going to take time to just briefly discuss some livestock outreach and events. Then I'll move into publications and articles that I've written over the year as well. And then I'll finally discuss some current and future programming and to wrap up. So some in-person events. In-person events are the easiest to do. I love face-to-face learning. We do beef workshops. I primarily focus on beef cattle, but I also do other livestock species such as swine and small ruminants. But the more we can get folks out on farm, onto other operations, so they can ask questions and learn how other people raise livestock, the better learning experience it is for them. So we do brief workshops in person as well as in the classroom per se, or in a government building setting, or some of the townships, town halls, that sort of thing. The next event I'd like to highlight up there is the Pelter training, the Plain Emergency Livestock Transport Response Workshop. If you remember, I had this workshop and I held it in October of 2024 here in the county. As a result of that workshop, I was asked, and my team was asked, the state specialists, to do this workshop at the WEMA conference, the Wisconsin Emergency Management Association state conference that was held in September in Stevens Point. So that was really cool to see the result of that workshop that started here in Waushara County do something better, do something more. And we approximately covered or helped train 40-ish individuals from different areas of the state with that conference this last year. The next thing I just want to mention is Farm Technology Days. You see that there on the right-hand side. Probably too small to see, but there are some Waushara County producers that some of you may know in that picture. Farm Technology Days is a big farm show that's held all across the state, different times or different areas each year. This last year it was in Bear Creek and on the Outagamie-Waupaca County line. And we partner with another organization in Green Lake County to put on cattle handling demonstrations, chute side demonstrations, and basic 101 training for people that come to that 3-day event, wherever it is around the state. Next, I just want to touch on beef quality assurance trainings. This is not a required training for beef producers, but it certainly may give them a premium or increased pay depending on how they sell their fed cattle in whatever means they do. So that's a free training offered pretty much at any point during the year for people who want to obtain that. Lastly, producer calls visits. This could be producer calls just to the office, to my work cell phone. Some folks come in, they email me. And like I said before, I love getting out on farm and help troubleshooting or just providing resources, research-based information from the university. So those folks can help their bottom line. Virtual events, just as good as in-person events. Virtual events are becoming more and more popular. People like to learn from their couch at home. That's perfectly fine. It allows us to have a little bit more flexibility on how often and how we don't have to depend on the weather, or if the farmers are in the field, that sort of thing. We can kind of host these throughout the year. So the two I just want to highlight tonight are Beef 101. That's a basic beginning level beef producer webinar series. It's a 6-part series this year. Is the 3rd year of that Beef 101 class. We had 205 participants in the class this year. Keep in mind that is a statewide class, but in the last 2 years, I don't know the data for this year, but 10% of those registrations have been in this area that I cover. So that's a fair amount of people from this area that are interested in either getting into beef production or they're newer to beef production. Lastly, I just wanted to mention surveys and assessments. I do different surveys throughout the year, if that's face-to-face, if that's online, to kind of gauge what my programming is. Because I don't see a benefit for myself to the community if I don't know what the community wants. So those surveys are just basically asking the community what their needs are, what the wants are, so I can base my programming to meet those needs. The pictures on the screen, the bottom left would indicate that's a picture from a workshop that I did on farm. The middle picture is myself and my colleague in a potload trailer at that Stevens Point WEMA conference. And lastly, I mentioned the Farm Technology Days picture on the right. So livestock publications and articles, a big part of my job is again, writing articles, publications for people to read and see online. Hopefully, you've seen some of these in the Waushara Argus. I try often to put different events in there as well as the articles that I write. Other places you may see are statewide magazines and newspapers like the Wisconsin Agriculturalist and the Wisconsin Cattleman's newspaper that comes out 4 times a year. Otherwise, if you haven't seen any of my publications, any of my articles, stuff that I've been working on in print, you can go to our Division of Livestock website. You can follow the QR code, read a little bit more about me, and read about all the things that I've written essentially since I've started in May of 2023. Lastly, I just want to touch on future programming. I'm going to have 2 workshops here in coming up in March, and then there's actually a back-to-back workshop on April 11th. The first one I wanted to mention is Cattle Feeders Workshop. That's going to take place in Stevens Point, and this was actually at the request of a Waushara County cattle feeder. I approached him last summer, and he basically, like I said, asked those questions, and he said it would be great to bring a Cattle Feeders Workshop with some of the topics that you see on the screen there, and then we added a few more that we thought were relevant for the area as well. Second, a swine workshop geared more towards youth swine exhibitors, show pig people that are going to be showing at the county fairs. 2 opportunities for that. One is going to be in Portage County in Amherst on the morning of April 11th. The second is going to be in Adams County in the Adams County Extension Building in the afternoon on April 11th. So a little bit of traveling for producers or folks here in Waushara County, but certainly doable. And again, it's that regional feel. Try to get as many people in the area as you can. So that's all for my portion. My other half is yet to be hired, but I just wanted to take a minute to publicize or advertise the open position that we do have in the extension office for that crops and soils educator. This person will cover the same 4 counties that I do, and you can visit that URL, that blue one on the bottom of the screen, to learn more about that position. But please visit as well cropsandsoils.extension.wisc.edu to see what we're doing in extension on the crops and soils side. There's all sorts of different stuff, soil health, row crops, also as vegetables, that sort of thing. And we'll be happy to welcome that new individual hopefully in the next couple months. So if there's no questions for me, excuse me, I'll hand it off to Pat.
Anybody have any questions? Thanks, Adam.
So again, you will get a copy of this report, is that correct? Or it gets uploaded to the folks? So I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm looking at Barry and he's going, sure. That's right. Thank you, Desi. But the Wisconsin idea, many, many years ago, we believed that it was important to get the university's information out to the people of Wisconsin. And so we embraced the idea that we're able to serve you here in Waushara County. These are the 6 buckets that we work through. You've heard from our staff tonight. So I'll let you read that at your pleasure. And then when you get this, there are QR codes here that will take you to the Waushara County Extension Facebook page, the 4-H Facebook page, as well as the extension website. And we were pleased at our last Louis committee meeting to hear from our chairman that he noticed an increase in presence on our Facebook page. So we're excited that our new staff are embracing that opportunity and sharing out as many things as possible for our families in Waushara County. I think that's it. Any questions for us?
Okay, any questions?
Thank you again.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Very good report.
Just leave this here.
Okay, next we will have an upcoming Discover Wisconsin episode featuring Waushara County with Dr. Mark Vandercastle, Waushara Tourism Resource Commission.
Okay, good evening. What Lori's handing out there, I'll talk about that in a minute, but the first thing that I want to ask you is, do you all know what the Waushara Tourism Resource Commission does? Any idea? I know a few of you know. We are the recipients of the room tax dollars that are present in about 10 or 11 of the municipalities in Waushara County. We take that money then, and then we, by state statute, then use that money for tourism promotion of a target zone area, and our target zone area is Waushara County. Okay, maybe I'll come again sometime and give you a full presentation on that, how that works, because it's a big process, and it's turned into very big uh, organization for us. It's incredible. And because of that, we're able to do a few of the things that we're talking about here tonight. Are you all familiar with Discover Wisconsin Television and the program? I came here in 2019 was the last time we did Discover Wisconsin here in Waushara County. And I did that presentation here. I'm sure some of you remember that. Unfortunately, with something big happened in 2020, that kind of cut our whole process short there. So we decided to do it again. And what you have there inside that envelope is an invitation, because Discover Wisconsin has been here now for the past year. June, July, August, they've been here multiple times filming various places in Waushara County. That presentation and that program is now complete. It will air across all of Discover Wisconsin's television programs the weekend of April 11th and 12th. In all across Wisconsin, all across the other states, a couple of the states, surrounding states that Discover Wisconsin is also part of. What we're giving you there is, they told us, let's do another premiere party because the last one went so well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring all of you that want to come back here, and we're gonna do it in this room, right? Yeah, in this room. And we're going to show that episode prior. You're gonna get a early peek at that program before it goes on the throughout the networks. And if you see it with us, there's no commercials. So just keep that in mind. So that's March 27th. That's a Friday night. I know we were trying to do a Thursday night, but the Discover Wisconsin people were having an issue with that. They had a couple people that were going to be out of state, and I definitely want them coming here so that you all can meet them. As you get a bigger picture of how this all works. It's a Friday night, right in the middle of Lent, which is great. But anyway, please consider attending that, and I would really appreciate it if you could. There's an RSVP there because we are going to have hors d'oeuvres that night. I'll give a little talk again about how this all came about and what we're trying to accomplish by that on that night, and then we'll show the presentation. Okay. The other thing that you have here is how this all works. This is an old one now. This is from 2024, but this is the one that they gave me when they sold us the program that we did this whole process. Because how this works is you actually become a partner with Discover Wisconsin for a 4-year period of time, 3 years after your show airs. And our show is going to air, as I said, in April will be the first showing. And then from there for 3 years, we will be partnering with them on all of their marketing opportunities. And you can see they do Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TV, and podcasts. As I said, the numbers are going to fluctuate a little bit because they have not been updated. I was just talking to Lori on Tuesday, and she said, yeah, the Facebook one, for example, it says 194,000 followers there. I believe it's now 230,000. So you kind of get the idea there that obviously they're continuing to grow, and every time they bring on a new partner like Waushara County now, their numbers are going to go up, obviously. So we're going to get exposure to all of those people with all of those things. Because when you do Discover Wisconsin, you don't just get the television program. That's what everybody focuses on. But understand there's so much more, and there's so much more opportunity for us to market and to show Waushara County to the world, or at least to the surrounding states, and the world, I guess, in a sense, because it will live on YouTube in forever. So if anybody ever looks at that, it'll always be there. So you can see how the demographics break down, and how we're gonna, targeting these areas to get people basically to come to Waushara County and spend some money on tourism dollars, which obviously helps all of us with, obviously for your budget, the sales tax idea there. It's always been told to me that if you're going to take what we have here in Waushara County, the best way probably to increase our revenue is through tourism. How else are you gonna do it? You have your choices of it's interesting because let me just throw this in there real quickly, because in the last couple of years, my tourism commission, I've kind of invited the county along, and Mike from the Parks Department has been very helpful to us for the last couple of years of coming in and giving us ideas. And then I brought Megan in this year when we did Discover Wisconsin, because I get her input into this program. And the reason I bring that up is because Mike made a very interesting comment one time at our meetings. I don't know if he remembers this, but he said, "What do you want in Waushara County? Do you want a smokestack over there, or do you want to wait maybe an extra hour for your fish fry on a Friday night because of the volume of people that might potentially come and spend some money here?" I know which one I would pick, obviously. Okay, so if you, as I said, you look here, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TV, podcast. The podcast we will do next year. The TV is the one I'm talking about, what this premiere party is about. We're going to then do some smaller social videos that they're going to produce for me and for us, so that when I'm out there talking around the state, when I do that now, I go to these conventions and I go to different areas and I talk about Waushara County, and I talk with other people about Waushara County. They show me the video of their place. They say, "Well, here, take a look at this," and then I look at it. And okay, I need this. So I just had, in fact, I just talked to one of the producers from Wisconsin today, and we've got 3 of our 4 decided of the 4 that he's going to make. So I think it's a fantastic program. We're going to be, like I said, partner with them for 3 years. We'll be a choice destination for 3 years, Waushara County as a whole. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity. So I'm hoping that you all can come on the 27th of March here and see that program. I'm not going to tell you too much about what's on it because I want you to come and see. Okay. Okay, any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions?
Okay, and if, like I said, if you want me to, I probably should come again in the future sometime and give you a full rundown on how this tourism commission works, because we really got to get that information out there as to what we're doing and how it works. I mean, we gave money this year to the Threshermans for their event. We gave money to the Jailbreak Marathon to run their event. So if it's a tourism event, you can come to our committee and our commission and request funds if you're going to promote them in out of the area networking type of a thing. We're very, very tightly bound by our state statutes, what we can and can't do with room tax funds. So anyway, that's what I have for tonight. And if you have any questions, bring them that night. We'll have the whole Discover Wisconsin group there. We'll have my committee board there, and we should have a great night. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So do you have enough, are you getting enough funds through the room tax? Is there more you want through municipalities? And are you actively working with other municipalities to try to get them to bring in some room tax?
Okay.
That are not participating?
Yes, and yes. Okay, so the first part of his question is municipalities. When this first started, way back when, actually I was working with Mary, this was a long time ago, deciding how we could come up with more funding, because I would go to trade shows representing the Chamber of Commerce, and I'd be standing there with my little brochure rack, and that would be about it. Next to me is they're spinning a wheel and giving away a 4-wheeler and all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking around going, well, how in the world are you affording all this through your money? And they said they get it through room tax dollars. So we decided that we were going to start try to get a room tax here. The county board decided that it wasn't a real good idea. They would project this tax across everybody. So we went to the individual municipalities, and I got the big players. I've got the town of Marion, I got the town of Dakota, I've got the town of Watoma, I've got the city of Watoma, I've got the village of Wild Rose. The ones who have the major, bigger amounts of tourism or of overnight stays, because that's what this money is. It's taxed on the overnight stay. I know you all go to a hotel and you end up paying your bill, your state tax, plus your room tax or associated fees. That's what I'm talking about. In this county, we asked those municipalities that adopted it to do a 4%, because we wanted everybody to do the same. We didn't want you paying a 4% room tax in Wild Rose and a 5% in Lacoma or something like that. We wanted them all to take the same, and they all did that. They all did. So there was a few townships or a few municipalities that were hesitant to join because they didn't know if this was a really good idea. It sounded actually, in some cases, too good to be true. Because the local municipality gets to keep a portion of that money. And some of you know how that works. So now that it's been hugely successful and we've gone through our bumps in the road and got the kinks worked out of it pretty well. Yeah, there's a couple of townships and other municipalities that are now interested in at least hearing us what we're doing again. And they're seeing what we're doing with all these different types of things that we fund and all the different things that we're doing with this kind of thing and promoting over Sheriff County. And they're, I think, a little bit more interested now in possibly hearing it again. The situation there is those, I gotta go back now and get another presentation, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. In fact, I'd love to do that. But I'm also not my town chairman, so some of those places that want to get me to come talk is the same night that I have my own town board. So I may have to switch or do a little bit of creative scheduling as we all do. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, we've grown quite a bit. Really, the Airbnb type of thing has really taken us to the whole nother level. And I think that's probably why a lot of them are interested, because they see so many of these people that come to this county and they benefit from things like plowed roads and everything that townships do and municipalities do for these people. But they don't pay for it, you know. So if they're coming in as a visitor, here's our one chance to get them to pay for some of those things, because the local municipality who collects the funds also gets to keep a portion of that. So as I said, I probably said a little bit too much there, more than you were interested in, but it's a whole big process and how it happens, and it's fascinating to me that how it's gone from we were projecting back when I gave the presentation the first time, $40,000 a year that was what we were hoping for. We're now well over $100,000 a year that we take in, that we look now for ways to promote Waushara County and get more tourism dollars coming here. So there's more room tax, so that there's more sales tax, so there's more county tax all coming into this area. So that's the plan. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Anybody else? Very good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, with that, we'll move into discussion, possible motion action items. First is the 2026 fire wardens as proposed by the Department of Natural Resources. Is there a motion? You were all given the list of names. Is there a motion for these people? Okay, motion by Bogaski. Is there a second? Second by Waddle. Any discussion on these?
Okay, go ahead and vote on those.
Supervisor Johnson,
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passes. The second one is a request from EMS for opioid funds for equipment. Is there a motion for this? Motion by Mosling. Is there a second?
Second by Kirschner. Do we have any discussion on this? You all were given the synopsis of it.
I think I would just ask a few questions. I see Keith is in the room.
Yeah.
Keith could just answer a couple of questions for me.
Sure.
I appreciate that, Bart, because we did race back from Madison to be here for you.
So I've read some of this. I did go online and look at it. I'm just making sure it's not an espresso machine or something like that, because you're trying to buy it. But I'm really dumb when it comes to medical stuff. Can you just explain what this thing is and what it does?
Yeah, absolutely. So in a heroin overdose, heroin doesn't cause cardiac arrest. Heroin stops somebody from breathing. right? In any of opioid, right? So heroin and all of its counterparts. It doesn't cause cardiac arrest, it causes them to stop breathing. And one of the things that we want to do, as opposed to, if a police officer or somebody in the public gets on scene and they use that Narcan, that actually wakes somebody up very fast and it rips them out of their overdose. And a lot of times, you think about fight or flight, right? However they came out, they could either be ready to run, they could attack you, which we saw actually happen in Appleton, right? Where we lost one of the firefighter paramedics in Appleton who had given a person that had overdosed Narcan, and he came out, had a firearm, and ended up shooting the firefighter paramedic. So one of the things that we do in EMS is we don't take that rapid approach. We do use Narcan just like everybody else would in the public, but we do a slow dosing where we bring them slowly out of the overdose so that they don't go into that rapid attack. One of those main things that we have to do is that we have to ventilate, right? Because again, it didn't cause cardiac arrest, it caused respiratory arrest. So they just stopped breathing. So we're going to breathe for them. And this device is going to allow us to understand how much air we're putting in there and how fast we're putting it in there, which all depends on how much brain damage that person's going to come out of when they come out of the thing. The drug itself isn't causing the brain damage. It's the hypoxia that's causing the brain damage. So this device is measuring that amount of oxygen that we're putting in there. If we squeeze that bag too fast, blood becomes too slippery. It can't grab onto the oxygen. If we squeeze the bag too slow, blood gets too sticky and it won't release the oxygen. So it's a very narrow window sweet spot that you have to be at. And that's what this device is going to measure. The other thing that it measures is how much volume we're putting in there. So your lungs only have so much room to expand. If you expand them too much, it causes swelling, which causes, and any swelling that you get is going to cause fluid to come in. Well, fluid in the lungs makes it very difficult to oxygenate a person. So this allows us to know what our tidal volumes are, how much we should be putting into a person's body, so we're not overstretching it. So it can be used in cardiac arrest, it can be used in the respiratory arrest, which we see with the opiates and throughout all patient care. What we're looking for is to put one on all 6 of our ambulances because we have the 4 frontline, 2 backups. Steve and I use the backup on a regular basis. The other one, we want the paramedics to be able to jump in and go, right? And then there's the training device. What they found with the training device and in using it, that they bring compliancy of the bag valve mask, the actual function of breathing for somebody up by 70%. Into a more effective range. 70% is a huge jump when you're looking at improving somebody's skill.
So, any reasons for respiratory arrest?
Yes, absolutely.
Besides opioid.
Yep.
Overdose.
Yeah.
So this would be a valuable tool for a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. Any person that's not breathing, that tool could be applied to.
So I just want to go back about the opioid fund spirit of that and our policy says it's treatment and prevention. I'm just not quite sure this falls into that specifically.
Well, this would be the treatment that you're providing for them when they're in an actual overdose.
And you wouldn't use it for all the other reasons?
We could.
What would be the majority? Is that what you're saying?
I guess I want to make sure that we're using it for the spirit of the money, right? That the money's to be used for opioid addiction and prevention. I want to make sure it's used for that, or I think it's a great tool. Or should this money come out of our budget or CIP someplace? I guess that's where I'm really going at. This money be saved for what it's really intended for is for treatment and prevention specifically, instead of some other areas that it could be used for, or that which are used for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a multi-use tool. We could use it in several different ways. I think it's essential for the treatment part of the overdose period. We just heard Amanda up here talking about, 2 of the autopsies that she did was toxicology. So I mean, those are 2 people that could have potentially benefited, from that device. I think the EO Life that I attached kind of explained exactly where other departments, are targeting the same grant, using the opioid funds for the purchases of the EO Life. So we would not be unlike other departments throughout the country that are accessing this grant or asking for those funds to come out of that fundage.
I think, like with our county and current state of EMS, I know you've got quite a few reserve funds. We've got the capital, capital improvement process that you can work this through. It sounds like it's a necessary device to have. It's like, it's something we should definitely have. I agree with Bart. I don't know if we should be dipping into the opioid settlement funds when we have other funds available to fund this.
Statistically, how many patients have you, as EMS, lost because they didn't have this device?
I'd have to go back and I'd have to get you more data on that for our overdoses.
Part of this is Bob, this request form that you filled out, it's asking specifically, the number of residents that this would benefit. Some of your past data would back that up. Let's say 1 life, 2 lives. How many lives did you lose because not having this device? So that information supporting data wasn't part of this either for us to consider either. I agree with you. I think it's an important tool, another tool in your toolbox to have on your units. I'm just not sure that it's in the spirit of opioid settlement money. And maybe that's something to talk to Megan about for budgetary or CIP request.
Yeah, and I had talked to Ruth about it, and she had felt that it kind of met the criteria for bringing it forward for the opiate settlements, which was why we ended up here tonight.
Would it be a possibility if it were postponed for a month to get some numbers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that be, because then we could see more clearly maybe, how many people it would affect compared to other, how many people it would affect for the drug use compared to other uses, if you have those numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I could put those together.
It'd be nice to see some statistics too. I don't know what you think, Jesse. You were also.
I don't know if it'll change my opinion on it, but yeah, statistics would be good. I think it's a necessary tool. I don't think it's something that we should dip into the opioid settlement funds for.
That kind of question.
Yes, sir.
Are the statistics that are being requested, it sounds to me like this is not just a life-saving effort. This is also an ongoing quality of life effort that this tool would aid in less brain damage, etc. So
absolutely.
Is there a way to quantify the long-term benefits of this tool?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, even one person that benefits from this person that would benefit, the $15,000 that we're requesting, one person is easily going to put, if they overdose, they survive, they have brain damage, they come back into our community. That's somebody that's going to have to be supported and taken care of throughout the entire process. Multiple times there, we end up going on multiple calls for overdoses. We've had just recently, we just lost one person in the community that we have been treating over time and eventually had the overdose that we couldn't get there in time in order to save them. So, that it is a trickle down factor. It's not just the initial overdose that we're treating, but it's the strain on the entire system. Then they're gonna, fall out to public health, and falls, affecting ADRC and all those types of things. So it is a county trickle down system.
Thank you.
I don't think you can really quantify how many people you'd save by this, though, right? I mean, because there's so many other variables that come into it. But this is just another way to probably help someone survive, right?
Right,
You
absolutely,
can't say, if we didn't have that, they died,
right.
right?
Statistically, it might be hard to show some of that stuff. And I'm not disagreeing with this device. I totally agree. You sold that this device should be on your units. I don't think there's a question that I'm just wondering if this is the right place for the fund.
That's my only objection to it, that maybe the funding should come out of your contingency fund or come out of your budget, changing your budget. That's where I believe it. I believe the device should stay in the opioid fund to fund other stuff in the opioid fund. That's just how I feel about it. Again, the device I truly believe belongs in your units. That's what I'm at.
Yeah, no, Deputy Chief Woodstock and I, one of our targets with our community paramedic program is really focusing on the overdose aspect of it. And that's where, we kind of tied all of it together,
Do you have any idea? I mean, number of overdose calls?
Ballpark.
I mean, we're talking out of the 3,000 calls, we gotta be at least in the 100 to 200 range.
And this equipment's gonna require some training.
In-house training.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little more into your mic there?
That works better. So even though it could be used for multiple things, if you had it and you guys use it for other calls besides opioid, they're more efficient, they know how to use it better.
Right.
So that would just make it better.
And it's not taking a skill that they don't already know how to do. It's a skill they know how to do. But if you're you're supposed to squeeze the bag once every 6 seconds, right? And you're only supposed to squeeze until you see the chest rise. When we're looking at manpower, we're working an overdose. You got the EMR, the EMT at the top of the head. They're squeezing the bag, 1,000, 2, 1,000. Hey, can you hand me that out of the bag over there? Yeah, hold on a second. Now our timing is completely off. And that's where in those overdoses, in all the other patients, that brain damage is just digging. It's very easy to be distracted.
Can I ask your opinion on that? As far as the funding?
Well, it would fall within the scope of the settlement agreement, right? There was like 20+ different categories of things that would qualify, because it can be used to help prevent the death of an overdose. It would qualify. It did not fall into one of the priority categories that the county board had set forth. And so that's why it had to come to the county board for approval. We have about $112,000 in that account right now, unallocated. We should be receiving some more payments this year, but we haven't received anything for 2026 yet.
So if this was denied tonight, would you be able to find funds for this to have this funded, Megan?
So if you're directing that it is something you want, we'd have to take a look at Keith's budget to determine if there is funding within the 2026 budget that could cover the purchase. If we were to take a transfer from his undesignated unallocated, we would need to bring that to the board for approval.
Okay, I guess the question I have then is if you want just postpone for another month to get some statistics, if that would help in your decision making, or we can proceed and vote on it as well.
I think we should proceed to vote and then in a way to expedite, like, getting the equipment that he's proposing. Maybe we could bring it to the table next month for a vote on how to fund it. If the vote doesn't carry.
All right, I'm not hearing.
I agree. I think this is a tool that we really shouldn't put off. I think that's something that obviously saves lives.
And why would we want to postpone that?
I would also agree. I think it's an important piece on your units. If we can do that, or make a motion to approve it and have him come back with some statistics next month.
Sure.
And then we can look at how to fund it that way.
And I would have to say that with our,
Well, if we pass it, it'd be coming out of the opioid funds.
Yeah.
That's the motion on the floor, is that it would come out of the opioid funds at this time.
If it's denied.
If it's denied, then he could come back with another motion next month. That was the. And that would be out of
Another fund other than the opioid fund, am I right on that?
Correct. So if we were able to look at Keith's budget and find an area in there where maybe we are going to underspend in a certain area, or we'll have grant funding available that could cover it, we don't need to bring that before the board, because you're already directing that you want us to look into this purchase, and because the cost doesn't necessitate that. If we look at Keith's budget and we say, I don't see anywhere in here that can cover this, and we need to pull in from his undesignated, we will bring that forth next month for approval from the board to do that.
I guess what the decision's gonna be, because there's other things that we have agreed to for this opioid money that is for opioid
purposes, but it could also be looked at as for other things too, like housing somebody if they've had a problem, but maybe they have other problems, alcohol problems or something as well. So it's not, not everything is gonna be 100% on it. So I guess it's just in your mind, if you think enough of the statistics are enough to
I went back thinking like the bullet gun for the city wanted, well, we
Yeah.
denied that because it could be used for any arrest, right? Not just someone that's
Right.
that's on drugs. So that was kind of where I was going back to. My thought process was,
Yep.
is this gonna be specifically used for opioid? Or is it gonna be used for a broad array of a lot of things?
Right.
If I can just point, and I just want to point out as well, I definitely think that's a fair argument. I also want you to consider, we do regularly approve like rental assistance and such for clients. And while they have to have had a history of opioid abuse to qualify for that, there are many times there are other things as well. So similarly, I just want you to keep that in mind, that there are other areas where the current presenting problem might be alcohol abuse, but they have a history of opioid abuse as well, and so it still qualifies under that.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? You have one, Tom?
It's wondering about a clarification. So we're voting to approve the device, and that if we can pay for it out of EMS budgets, we will. And
No, what we're voting for at this time is to take the money out of the opioid funds to fund this
Okay.
equipment. That's what the vote is now. If it's denied, then perhaps Keith will come back another month with another way to get the same device.
I sort of concur with some of the other that we should maybe preserve the opioid stuff over as solidly opioid issues as possible. I mean, the devices, I think it's nearly essential, really. So, okay.
and I did look at our budget prior to bringing it to the board, and we did not increase our EMS expense budget this year, even though our vendors were telling us that we needed to plan for a 6 to 9% increase in medications and our medical expenses. So, we are gonna be pretty tight on our medical expense budget because we did not increase that line item in order to keep the budget down.
Okay, anybody else have any other comments or questions? Okay, I'm not hearing any, then we'll go ahead and vote.
And the motion does pass.
All right, next, agreement between Waushara County and Sheriff Zilke, reason the canine stipend issue. Everybody's aware of that. I would look for a motion.
To accept that agreement. Motion by Urban, is there a second? Second by Peterson. Any other discussion on that? We were all given a pretty good synopsis on that.
I'd just like to make a
Okay.
comment.
Go ahead.
I would just like for my constituents, just to let them know that there were several reasons why I voted to move forward with accepting the settlement offer from Sheriff Zuelke. First and foremost is that we just went through an extensive budgeting process where we asked every single department in this county to scrimp and save and cut every penny that they possibly could. And I think it would be an offense to them if we did not take the money on the table. Second, we were provided with legal counsel that made it clear that there was no way to prove that Sheriff Zuelke received or read the memorandum dated March 28, 2019, which is the only document that referenced the requirement for the K-9 to remain certified, which is the big crux of this biscuit. Third, we were advised by legal counsel that contrary to popular opinion, that a settlement offer does not indicate an admission of guilt. It is a strategic play, and it is not admissible into court for trial. And fourth, we were advised that the cost of civil litigation is both paid by each party and that the county would have had to hire an outside attorney to represent the county, resulting in more expenses to the county. So as a fiscal conservative, these issues weighed heavily in my decision to move forward with accepting Sheriff Zuelke's offer to repay $11,087.50, as moving forward with litigation would not have only lost the opportunity to recover half of the funds, but likely would have cost the county multiple thousands of dollars more than we've already paid. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Is there any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on that. Okay, so that agreement is passed. Next is the Facilities and Parks Grant application for trail maintenance. Is there a motion for this? Motion by Piaski, is there a second? Second by Peterson. Any questions? Comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, go ahead and vote on that. Okay, and that grant application is approved. Okay, next is consideration possible action on the following resolutions and ordinances. Number one, resolution number 01-02-26, amendment to resolution 04-02-25 to correct ward. Is there a motion for this resolution? Motion by Bossert, is there a second? Second by Johnson. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Okay, and that resolution passes. Resolution number 02-02-26, establishing total annual compensation for county elected officers pursuant to statute 59.22 Wisconsin Stats Sheriff and Clerk of Court Circuit Court. Is there a motion for this resolution? Motion by Mosling. Is there a second? Second by Urban. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. And that resolution passes. Resolution number 03-02-26, transportation funding resolution. Is there a motion? Motion by King, second by Kirschner. Is there any discussion? Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on this.
President Johnson.
Okay, and that resolution passes. All right, resolution number 04-02-26, resolution authorizing the reorganization of the 911 Communications Center and amending position classifications within emergency management and the Communications Center. Is there a motion for this resolution? Motion by Johnson, second by Kirschner. Any discussion? Questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on this. Okay, and that resolution passes as well. Okay, with that, we just have appointments, just one appointment this evening. Library Services Committee for Craig Hayes from Wild Rose. His term would be February of 2026 through February of 2029. Is there a motion for this appointment? Motion by Waddle, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Moslin. Any discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on that as well. Okay, and that appointment passes. All right, with that, we're up to board suggestions for future agenda items. Is there any that anyone would like to bring forward for future agenda items? Okay, I just want to remind everybody again that the blood drive is this Friday. So if you can get in there, go online and make an appointment, whatever. With that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.